Europe, 1941. Even on the brightest, sunniest mornings, fear casts its shadow. Cities bustle, as they always do, yet a tension hums beneath each street. Cobblestones glint in sunlight, yet boots strike with precision, commanding silence. Markets smell of fresh bread, roasted coffee, damp wool, and horse sweat. Whistles slice through the air as soldiers patrol, eyes sharp, rifles clutched. Children hesitate mid-step, mothers tug at aprons, eyes darting to uniformed figures. Prague, the jewel of Bohemia, lies under this oppressive glare. The sunlight glints off polished windows, reflecting the immaculate figure of Reinhard Heydrich. Tall, angular, cold, he moves with an almost mechanical precision. His white gloves are immaculate, his boots gleaming as he surveys the city streets. Civilians shrink from his gaze, shopkeepers whisper behind shutters, and the air feels heavy with anticipation, though they do not yet know why. At the cafes, patrons murmur cautiously. At tram stops, commuters glance nervously at passing soldiers. Every shadow could hold a Gestapo officer. Even the birds in the treetops seem quieter, chirping cautiously as if aware of the tension below. Yet in the midst of this fear, whispers of resistance move like currents beneath the surface. Coded radio broadcasts, secret leaflets, and hushed conversation in hidden rooms all speak of defiance. Among those whispering, observing, planning is a young Slovak soldier, Jozef Gabčík. Courage, patriotism, and the desire for justice pulse through him, drawing him toward a decision that will etch his name into history. It is 1912. The sun rises over Pelouvsia, a small Slovak village cradled among rolling hills. Light glints on cobblestones, rooftops, and the silver thread of the river winding through fields. Smoke curls from chimneys, carrying the scent of pine, warm soil, and freshly baked bread. Children run barefoot along dirt paths, laughing, their voices carried by the morning breeze. Women tend gardens, hands in rich earth, humming old folk song. Men work in fields, sweat glistening on sunlit skin, hammers ringing in distant workshops. Life is steady, rhythmic, filled with the familiar warmth of home. Jozef grows up amidst this tapestry of ordinary life, learning patience, precision and resilience. He climbs trees, hammers iron in the blacksmith's forge, studies the delicate movements of clock gears. Every tick, every clang teaches him focus. He watches the seasons shift, the frost on the hills, spring blooms, summer heat, autumn winds, and feels connected to a land that will one day call on him to defend it. As he matures, whispers of unrest drift through the village. Europe is changing, war approaches, and Germany is advancing. Young Jozef hears stories of neighbours disappearing, notices distant convoys, feels fear mingled with outrage. By his early 20s, he is a soldier, trained in stealth, endurance and precision. He witnesses his homeland falling under Nazi occupation, communities shrinking in the shadow of oppression. Patriotism and the desire for justice take root in his heart. Every choice he makes now carries a weight, family, friends, life. Yet he steps forward determined. Prague is tense. Soldiers march through sun-drenched streets, boots striking cobblestones with mechanical rhythm. Posters of Heydrich glare from walls, eyes cold and commanding. Citizens whisper behind curtains, clutch bags, glance over shoulders. The air is scented with sun-warmed stone, bread baking in ovens, faint coal smoke drifting from chimneys, and the tang of the Vltava River. Far away in Britain, Gabčík and Jankubish train relentlessly. Mist clings to the fields in the early morning, dew weighing on grass, gun oil and wood smoke scenting the air. They practice parachute jumps, weapons handling, hand signals, silent communication. Maps of Prague stretch across tables, streets, tram lines, escape paths, timing. Each detail is memorized, rehearsed, drilled. Nights are long, cold, filled with whispered strategies and the quiet hum of nerves. They joke sometimes to keep fear at bay, but every laugh carries the weight of what's to come. Their minds are a battlefield of anticipation. One misstep could mean instant death. Every shadow in Prague, every civilian, every guard must be accounted for. The plan grows in complexity, precision, obsession. Each day brings them closer to the moment that will change history. It is the morning of May 27th, 1942. The sky above Prague is a cloudless blue, the kind of crisp spring day where the sun throws everything into sharp relief. The air smells faintly of coal smoke and bread from the corner bakery. Trams rattle along their tracks, brakes squealing at the stop outside Belovka Hospital. People murmur, waiting to board. Housewives with baskets, workers heading into the city, children clutching school satchels. Life appears, at least on the surface, ordinary. But there's a tension, like a wire pulled too tight. Two men linger near the tram stop. They look unremarkable, yet their eyes scan every movement, every sound. Jozef Gabčík, dressed in a long raincoat despite the warmth, grips something hidden beneath the fabric. Beside him, Jan Kubiš clutches a leather briefcase so tightly that his knuckles turn white. Down the road, the sound of an engine grows louder. A polished Mercedes-Benz convertible approaches, sunlight glinting off its chrome. Inside sits Reinhard Heydrich, Reich's protector of Bohemia and Moravia, the man the people call the Butcher of Prague. His cap gleams, his posture straight, radiating arrogance. No escort follows. He has always believed the Czechs are too cowed, too broken to dare strike at him. The car slows as it rounds the curve. The tram screeches to a halt. People shuffle forward. The two men stiffen. This is the moment. Gabčík steps forward. The raincoat drops. He raises his Sten submachine gun. Click. Nothing. A dry, hollow jam. The silence between trigger and shot is deafening. A woman gasps. A child clutches his mother's skirt. Heydrich's head jerks up. His driver, SS Oberscharführer Klein, slams the brakes. Tyres screech. The car lurches to a halt directly in front of the two men. Heydrich barks an order, his hand already on his pistol. And then Kubiš flings the briefcase. It arcs through the air, a blur of leather and steel. It strikes the rear wheel and explodes with a thunderous crack. The shockwave punches through the street. Windows shatter. A searing cloud of smoke and dust fills the air. The smell of burning metal and cordite grips the lungs. Shards rip into Heydrich's body. His spleen, his lung, his diaphragm, torn apart in an instant. He clutches his side, face pale, eyes wide with rage and disbelief. But incredibly, he doesn't collapse. He forces himself out of the car, pistol drawn, staggering toward Gabčík. Klein rushes at Kubiš, weapon shaking in his hand. But in his panic, he presses the magazine release. His pistol jams. Kubiš, his face bleeding from shrapnel, staggers back against the railings. He fires his Colt into the air, scattering tram passengers who scream and stumble. He leaps onto his bicycle and pedals furiously, weaving through the chaos. Klein chases him but falters, dazed and bleeding. Meanwhile, Heydrich, bent over in agony, yet still deadly, staggers toward Gabčík. Gabčík fires from behind a telegraph pole. Bullets crack across the street. Heydrich ducks behind the tram, grimacing, clutching his side. He shouts at Klein, pointing, "Get that bastard!" His voice is hoarse, thick with blood, but his strength is ebbing. His legs buckle. He slumps against the bonnet of the Mercedes, blood soaking his uniform, breath rattling. The crowd stands frozen, unable to move, caught between horror and awe. Gabčík runs. He ducks into a butcher shop, slamming the door, but the butcher is no friend. A Nazi sympathiser, he bolts outside, screaming, pointing, betraying. Klein follows, gun still jammed, colliding with Gabčík in the doorway. A struggle, a flash. Gabčík's pistol roars, Klein collapses, blood pouring from his leg. Gabčík leaps onto a tram, disappearing into the city, heart pounding. Behind him, Reinhard Heydrich lies slumped, gasping, his cap fallen into the dust. Passers-by stare in stunned silence. The smell of smoke lingers in the air. The echo of the explosion rings in their ears. An open-topped car, a bright spring morning, and the most feared Nazi in Prague, broken and bleeding on the cobblestones. Within the hour, he will be rushed to Bulovka Hospital. For a brief time, surgeons believe he will live, but infection seeps into his wounds. Within days, he will be dead, and on this street, the ordinary citizens of Prague, those who witnessed the blast, know with absolute clarity, life will never be ordinary again. Terror spreads across the protectorate like wildfire. Gabčík and Kubiš are shadows moving through the city, ghosts in familiar streets. But the Gestapo corners them in the Church of Saints Cyril and Methodius. The siege begins in a labyrinth of stone corridors, shadowed rooms and echoing chambers. Gunfire cracks, grenades explode, dust and smoke hang like a fog. The paratroopers move with careful precision, firing and retreating. Hours stretch like days. Each corridor is a trap. Each room holds danger. Sweat drips down faces, mingling with blood. Hearts hammer. Fingers twitch around triggers. Every sound, shouts, boots, footsteps, distant tram bells, sharpens nerves. Exhaustion sets in. Muscles scream, yet resolve never falters. Hour after hour passes. Kubiš is wounded by shrapnel but continues to fire. Gabčík returns shot after shot, ducking behind pillars. The sun outside glints off church windows, oblivious to the violence within. Eventually, the paratroopers understand. Escape is impossible. Gabčík takes his own life. Kubiš, mortally wounded, dies after arrival at the hospital. The church, silent once more, bears the echoes of courage, defiance and sacrifice. Villages associated with resistance are obliterated. Lidis. The sun shines on streets once filled with children and laughter. Now smoke rises from burning homes. Men are executed in fields. Women and children are deported. Cows, pigs and horses scatter or are killed. Survivors whisper in hiding, trembling as Nazi patrols pass. Ležáky, Poluvcia, Kostelec, nad Vltavu. Each village becomes a mirror of grief. Mothers cry, fathers are shot, children snatched from beds. Streets lie empty, gardens are trampled. Even the air tastes different, thick with smoke, fear and dust. Survivors whisper stories that will haunt generations. Thousands are arrested. The sunny countryside is transformed into a landscape of sorrow and loss. The sun rises again over Prague. Streets glint in early light, cobblestones catching every ray. Memorials cast long, solemn shadows. Life returns to the city, but the memory of terror lingers. Gabčík and Kubiš are remembered in countless forms. Statues, plaques, films, books, songs. Survivors speak of them in hushed voices. School children learn their names. Ordinary people understand that defiance, even in the darkest times, can change the course of history. Their courage is remembered in villages that were razed, rebuilt from rubble, and in families that survived against all odds. Yet the echo of bravery remains, carried in the stories of those who witnessed, those who survived, and those who will never forget. From the Slovak hills to the sunlit streets of Prague, the story resonates. Tyranny can be challenged. Courage matters. Resistance burns bright like the sunlight on that fateful May morning, forever reminding the world that ordinary humans can do extraordinary things.